Hi, and thank you for joining us on the road to recovery. I'm Rhonda Jackson, your host, serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. And today's guest, Mr. Joe Chow, who I'm going to call the Renaissance man of supplier diversity. Joe represents leadership in so many arenas, and I think that he has a voice and perspective from a corporate side and also understanding what small businesses need because of the legacy that he has championed in the small business arena. Thank you so much for being here today, Joe.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here, Rhonda. Serial entrepreneur, huh? Love
Yes.
that.
Yes. But so do
Okay.
you mind for those emerging and established entrepreneurs that are not as familiar with you, will you give us a little intro to you and what you do?
Okay. So my name is Joe Chow. I run the Supplier Diversity Program at Southern California Gas Company. I have been in this space probably the last 12, 13 years, maybe. From starting in that space, managing one of our largest portfolios at Southern California Gas Company, which is the gas operations portfolio. Then going back to public affairs, I was in public affairs prior to that, and then returning through a series of various projects and assignments to actually head up and run supplier diversity for the last, it's been probably about 7 or 8 years now.
Okay.
And also I'm involved from a external standpoint. I also recently became the chair of the Southern California Minority Development Council, which is one of the largest minority business organizations in Southern California. In addition to that, I am this year's chair of the joint utilities, which all the joint utilities, which are investor-owned utilities in the state that report up are regulated by the CPUC, California Public Utilities Commission, report under there and are regulated under the CPUC. So there's about 24 corporations, energy corporations, energy, telco, and cable, and water that's comprised of these 24 corporations.
Now, is the CPUC the one that insurance agencies are also added to now? Yes.
I'm not sure if insurance agents in the joint utilities, we don't have insurance. We don't have insurance agencies in that. There may be another arm or sector of that under the PUC, but I think it's primarily in the companies that I mentioned.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, thank you. And audience, you guys can see why Joe is here to speak on this topic with us and share his insight and hopefully help grow us and groom us for the opportunities that are ahead. Joe, one of the ways that I like to start the show is I like to ask guests for one word they would use to describe where we are in the world. What would your word be?
My word would be right now, opportunity.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because everybody's aware of the times we're in right now. A lot of social injustice, really kind of peeling back the skin on previous racism in the country. And with that, people are really beginning to put an eye on things and really look at what has been, what has been, what amount of injustice has occurred in all these areas, basically. And so with people really starting to look at that, I think a lot of opportunities are beginning to open up. A lot of questions are beginning to be asked. And I think also, during these times, businesses really have to take advantage of these times also, because I think the door is starting to open up. And with those doors opening up, more and more opportunities are occurring. And you really have to take advantage of these opportunities.
All right. And then I think that the beautiful thing about you being here today is that you will help us kind of shape ourselves, be aware, be more informed. A lot of the other guests have talked about the preparation and education as we approach some of those opportunities. So that's one of the things. I love the fact that the CPUC and the Joint Commission have metrics to go along with the diversity initiatives to help close the gaps in the disparity. Do you mind speaking a little bit for people that aren't familiar with the CPUC or the Joint Commission about those metrics?
So let me talk about that a little bit. A piece of legislation was enacted in 1986, I believe, by the CPUC, but it was actually through legislation by a person named Gwen Moore, who I consider the mother of supplier diversity in this state. And unfortunately, sadly, she passed away about a week ago, which, in this space, she had an enormous, enormous amount of impact. If you think about it, in 1987, supplier diversity programs probably collectively started out with maybe about $5-6 million a year by all the utilities. And last year, I believe the amount was close to about $13 billion.
Wow.
Collectively, it has grown.
That's some
So
strides.
that's a heck of an impact. Yes. $13 billion. So think about the economic impact that has had in the state of California. So getting back to reporting, so under General Order 156 and this law that went past, utilities were required to report their supplier diversity results after every year. So year after year, it began to get more competitive. The programs of each utility began to grow and grow until what you have today is that $13 billion, which is just phenomenal.
It is absolutely, absolutely. But am I under the impression, though, that the goal is that there's more room, that there are more strides to be made?
Absolutely, there's more strides to be made. The CPUC's goal is actually 21.5% with women, and that consists of women, minorities, service disabled vet, and LGBT, and section small business 8A business that we report on basically. Our our results at Southern California Gas Company last year was 41.77%. So we have exceeded that goal for the past 26 years, basically.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then that also represents the leadership. So do you acknowledge that the efforts, even though the groundwork's been laid by that legislation, in a corporation to be successful with initiatives and a goal in performance, is that coming from the top down? Is it going from the bottom up? How is that best demonstrated to achieve those goals?
It certainly makes a difference when it's coming from the top. We have been fortunate enough to have great leaders in our company who really embraced supplier diversity. From one of our leaders when I first came to the company, although at that time we were not reporting supplier diversity, it was not required to report supplier diversity results, but we were doing it voluntarily as a company even before that and keeping track of that, which was about 1976. So it certainly helps, and throughout the years we've had great leaders. I mean, we were one of the first utilities to have a woman CEO at the helms of our corporation, and she totally embraced it and really took it to a new level. And since then, we've been on this upward swing of supplier diversity, and we continue to grow because it's become part of one of the core elements of our business.
Mm-hmm. It's how you do business, and that's reflective in the numbers that you get. So what would your advice be to, I've seen in the news, and maybe you've seen as well, corporations that are looking to build out supplier diversity programs, that are looking to maintain, I've seen language of aspirational goals. How would you consult, or to maybe even suggest that they step into the commitment to those goals? What's that messaging internally with your department?
Well, I mean, we've always had pride in walking our talk, and certainly it depends on. I think the effectiveness of a program actually depends on how a supplier diversity program is structured and how it interfaces with other business units within the corporation and everything. Like we're partnered and inside of our supply management, where department where all of the procurement of our company is taking place. So we know every bid, every RFP that's being put out, and before it's put out, we're involved in those meetings from the onset to
Okay.
try to influence the results and influence the process.
So supplier diversity has a seat at the table as a part of the procurement process.
Absolutely. And it's important to have that. You have to
Okay.
have a seat at the table.
I love that. So then with all the opportunities that are coming up, with platforms like Southern California Gas that embraces supplier diversity, that is part of its core business values, what would you say to business owners as we prepare for the opportunities, or what should we know, or what should we start doing? What's missing?
So if you're interested in doing business with like a company of ours, I would say, first of all, do your homework. Know what's going on with that building. And that's not hard to do because you can go to a business website. You can look at the Wall Street Journal, or even on your iPhone in the stock part, typically pull up the sign, and then you'll have a lot of background on what a company is doing, the projects that it's involved in, how it's driving its results. So do your homework. Know what the flavor of the year is for these companies, these projects that are coming up. The more you know about that, the better chance you have in getting into procurement opportunities with our company. So do your homework, and also develop relationships. Try to develop or find someone who is close to the procurement process inside of a company and develop those relationships. Keep in front of them. The most successful companies I find, the companies that I find that are most successful, you always, well, back in regular times, you always see them on our floor asking questions, how are you guys doing? What's going on? And that's a way of finding out, getting more information also. Be seen. You have to be seen.
Okay, I like that. So the connectivity now, with everything being virtual, you're getting more emails. Is there, I know there's a respectful limit to it, but supply diversity community, do you mind being contacted by interested vendors? Do you want
That's our
to?
job. That's our job. And in fact, I'll give you an example. Today, I was contacted by a company, a vendor who, you know, I set up a meeting with them, and they told me about their capabilities, what they did do as a company, and um, what I'm trying to find out is what are their capabilities? Is it a good match for our company? And if it is, then I take it to the next step. Then especially in the virtual times, I'll get one of the project managers from one of the departments to sit down and listen to their capabilities and see if there's really a fit. Because supplier diversity people, they know, uh, they'll know all, a lot of the things in general, but they don't know the technical aspects. Like if it's say in your industry, if it's an interior designer, we don't know everything about interior designer, but there's people inside our company that may know more about that than we know. So we bring these people together to converse and find out, hey, we can use this company and let's do it. So
So,
that's how I do it, and that's how my team does it.
so supplier diversity is an excellent point of entry for diverse businesses that are looking to engage with the corporation. And then us actually being able to very well articulate our capabilities, our services, helps you guide and direct which departments and which areas that we should be interacting with for further engagement.
Yes, but let me say also that it's not the only point of entry into a company.
Ah, okay.
We have what we call a champions program, and these are folks throughout our company that believe in supplier diversity, that help us with supplier diversity and identify suppliers for us. And they may suggest, hey, I got this company I'd like for you guys to look at. And they really help drive our results also. So it's not just us, it's our champions. And a champion can be anybody, but they are spread throughout our whole company, because my team we only have about 5-6 people on my team, and it's hard for us to get to everybody. So we have to have these champions out there looking out for us, especially in their respective areas.
I love that. And that also speaks to the 41% because it sounds like it's ingrained and part of the infrastructure of the company,
Yeah.
that it's not just a one off or, like you said, a siloed department of 5 or 6 people, which I have heard in other instances. So internally, 9 to 5, you're living it, you're doing it, but then on your after hours, on your weekend retreats, you're also really involved in the community via the Joint Commission and also the Southern California Minority Supplier Development Council. And by the way, congratulations on your new appointments. Yes. So do you want to speak to us a little bit about the State of the Union as far as the Supply Diversity Council goes, and whether it differs or not from your corporate initiatives? Is there something specific that we should know about what the council's working on?
Well, right now, I mean, the council continues to work on development of suppliers, getting suppliers in that pipeline so they can interface with corporations. The council is not just comprised of small businesses, but it's also comprised of some of the largest companies and corporations in the city. So, or in Southern California, like Disney, Northrop, all those big companies. So the idea is to really connect these companies up, and try to find opportunities to bring companies into the pipeline. These companies are always trying to recruit and build their business base, their supplier base. So at the council, I mean, we hold a number of technical assistance programs that will get you ready to do business, programs that will expose you to all these corporations. And my goal is to further even increase that more, and also to really strengthen our political uh, reputation in the city also. I think that the council, being one of the largest supplier organizations out there, minority supplier organizations in Southern California, should be at the forefront uh, at the political process, especially when it talks about jobs and the impact, the economic impact to the communities.
Yeah, so I hear that you're saying that the council, as well as implementing and capacity building, that it's also an advocate for us as small business, right? So it gives us
Yes, absolutely.
a voice for us to actually, head off to our Senate and our Congress to get those messages out to DC. So that's actually really nice to know, because I've been a member of the council for many, many years, and I hadn't realized the advocacy that would go behind an organization.
Yeah, I think at one point in time we had an advocacy arm, political advocacy arm, but that's what and over time I think it had sort of decreased or went away, and that's one of the areas I want to bring back up, because politics is so important, especially when it comes to business these days.
Yes. And then how do businesses educate themselves on those policies, if not for advocacy agencies like, the Southern California Minority Development Council to bring that to light?
Yeah. So, and we do have like a newsletter that comes out periodically about what's happening in the minority business arena. There are several, we have MBOD, we have various fairs we have that we participate and put on annually. We have a summit called the B3 Summit that's coming up also, I think September 17th, that I'll get the information out to you also. And all of these are about enhancing business opportunities for smaller size or minority businesses.
I love that. And then again, by minority, it's LGBT, it's women owned, it's minority owned, and veteran as well. So
Yes.
that's a big pool of diversity to try to attract and calculate for. Are any of those categories individually tracked, or is it lumped under small or lumped under diverse?
At the utilities, they are individually tracked. We track women separately, we track minority, and we track LGBT and service disabled vets.
They're all in separate silos. Okay, that's interesting. That's one of the things that I noticed about some of the upcoming legislation, that it'll improve or increase the metrics within those different categories to help with, comparing where those disparities are, and then help hopefully to, in long term, close those gaps. So I
And
appreciate
let me also say that most of the utilities also have technical assistance programs that they put on individually,
Ah,
separate from that. that address issues as marketing your company, financial literature, how to do business with our company, how to go through the RFP process successfully, things like that. And then we bring in subject matter experts along the way also to talk about their different various business units that service the company also.
So even with all of the conversation around diversity and inclusion efforts, you're telling me that between specifically the utility sector, as well as the councils and the different divisions that are supporting small businesses, that there's a lot of help out there, that there's support. We'll include links to some of those resources down below as you share those. So thank you for that. So what would be one call to action? What would you tell every business owner to go out and do like today? What do you think that we should be doing right now with all the information that you've shared today? What should we do?
I would say, I mean, if you're really serious and really wanting to do business with not just my utility, but all the utilities, find out what are some of the upcoming programs. And although that we're in a virtual mode these days, we're doing a lot virtually also. I will say that next September 3rd, we are putting on about 4 utility companies, as I believe Edison, SoCal Gas, Golden State Water, and California Water, and a couple other utilities. We are putting on a webinar with all of the African American chambers in the state.
Oh, wow.
And the African American chambers and the Black business organizations, and to focus on increasing spend in this particular area at this time. Now, we're not just going to do it for this group here. We're going to rotate. Once we finish with this, we're going to also, sorry about that. Once we finish with this group, we are also going to rotate to some of the other areas, the Hispanic groups, the Asian groups, the Native American also.
Okay, nice. So the information will be provided, it'll be out there. We'll have to just be active and come and participate. So that's the other thing that I guess I would add to what you're saying, is that knowing that there are all these opportunities and the communications, the tools, the capacity building, is that we as small businesses, as we as diverse businesses need to show up. That we need to be there and participate, because I would hate for any of your efforts to go on an empty room or an empty Zoom screen. That we need to be there to participate, to receive the information and the opportunity. No, that's okay. I know you're busy. You're in high demand, Joe. High demand.
Let me turn this off for us. Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. You're okay. So no, I appreciate you being here. I think that every emerging and established small business, diverse business needed to hear this information today, and your perspective, again, from the corporate, from the community side of it, I think gives us a real well-rounded view of the opportunities that are available in the upcoming future. So I thank you for your time. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. Is that it? That wasn't bad.